we have a very, very interesting panel discussion coming up. And as the stage is set for that, I think it'll be great if you and I can talk for a little while, right? So just raise your hands, if you feel that this is something that applies to you. If you're a business owner and you have had trouble hiring the right kind of talent for your business. A lot of hands going up. Great, great. Do you find that it is sometimes very difficult to keep teams motivated? Yes? Heads are nodding, hands are not going up. Great. Another question I have for you is, how difficult is it to control attrition rates? Do you find yourself in situations where you've hired somebody, you've trained them for 6-8 months, and they've decided to move on suddenly? Is that something that you've encountered? So clearly, the next panel discussion is exactly what we need. Because HR as a function is very, very important in a small and medium-sized business, isn't it? क्योंकि जब टीम छोटी होती है तो हर एक एम्प्लॉय की जो इनपुट है, जो उनका रोल है, वो काफ़ी क्रिटिकल हो जाता है. और जब आपकी वर्कफोर्स में बार बार चेंजेस होते रहते हैं, जब टैलेंट अट्रैक्ट नहीं कर पाते या टैलेंट रिटेन नहीं कर पाते, the training you've given them, the hours you've put in ensuring that they're part of the organizational culture, that gets deeply affected, and it does impact the final output that you have as a business. So that is what we will be discussing in our panel discussion next. I think we'll take a minute as we invite on stage our lovely panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to first welcome on stage Gauri Das, Senior Vice President at India Factoring and Finance Solutions Private Limited. If I can request Gauri to please join me. I'd also like to call out Supriya Sawant, founder and CEO of HR-Innovate. Hi, Gauri. And I'd also like to invite on stage Aditi Pareek, strategic HR leader and business advisor.
टेक्नोलॉजी ने अगर कुछ सिखाया है तो कांस्टेंट अपडेट है.
Can we have Aditi on the stage as well, please?
इतनी बेसिक सी चीज़ है लेकिन लोग अपने पीपल मैनेजमेंट में ये यूज़ नहीं करते हैं.
So how about we give a huge round of applause as we invite Aditi onto the stage. I think we can start. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gauri and Supriya, it's lovely to have you here, and I'm sure Aditi is joining us very, very shortly.
Yeah.
I think to begin with, अभी जब हम लोग पीछे बात कर रहे थे स्टेज पे, someone said HR को side वाला function बना दिया है. But I think I want to understand how. Welcome, Aditi.
Thank you.
I think a special mention here, special round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So मैं आपकी ही बात कर रही थी in fact. So in fact, Aditi was the one who said कि HR को side function बना दिया है. So I want to understand, for a small and medium-sized business, Gauri, how important is the HR function?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me here and thanks for having this panel discussion. The fact that HR discuss कर रहे हैं, it's important. And my second TEDx talk was on HR. It was an honor to represent HR at TEDx stage. For that, I did a lot of research. And in that research, I realized that even 200 crore wala company is hiring HR today. Because talent is the only differentiator. When it comes to pay package, can anyone guess which place would be the best for a CHRO? A very quick guess. Which place would be best? Which country can be best for a CHRO in terms of pay package? Nobody thinks CHROs are paid well? So to tell you, in Middle East, 62% of CHROs are paid equally as CMOs or any other function.
Wow.
And in India also the number is at 47. So we are not far behind, things are changing. It's not side wala function anymore because HR has also changed. It's all about data, it's all about contribution to the business. And yes, for SMBs, like I said, there is data pocket which tells us it is very, very critical because talent is the only differentiator.
Yeah, Supriya, you want to add to that briefly?
Absolutely. So I would put it as HR is the heart of any organization. Like a body cannot function without the heart, you cannot actually function without the HR. So, talking about being the heart and the most critical function in any organization, most of the SMBs feel that, why do we hire an HR person, We have the leave policy, we have the attendance policy, people know the timings that they're supposed to show up, and, that's all they think about HR, and there's one person who's calculating the salaries every month, and we're paying the salaries to everybody, then why do we need somebody as HR, But then what they don't realize is that hiring becomes a continuous process there. You are it's like a funnel where you are putting in people, and then there is leakage from the bottom, and you're losing out people, and then there is continuous hiring process which happens.
Yeah.
So HR plays that critical role in your organization where they put the right practices, right processes in place so that we can retain talent within the organization and make a meaningful impact for them, and they feel meaningfully engaged in the organization.
Yeah, and that continuity of employees is so important if you're looking for great
Absolutely.
output. Briefly, if you could add to that,
So I think both Gauri and Supriya has elaborated and added a lot of points on how important is HR for SMBs. I would just like to add one point here. Think of businesses as a personality in itself. And what is HR? We are your unofficial lawyers. We are your unofficial event organizers. We are your unofficial therapists. We are your unofficial teachers, advocates, and everything all put together. In short, if I were to say, HR is basically the enabler, which ensures that the business functions properly. If you need more resources, we are the ones who enable it. If you want your people to be happy coming together under one roof and believe in your business, in your value system, and therefore generate money, we are the ones who enables it. So in a nutshell, I would like to call, in my opinion, HR is somebody who just puts soul into a human being, and human being the business. So that's what I think HR is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should have a huge round of applause for them for elaborating that how important this function is, and it cannot be overlooked at all. मैं थोड़ा controversial सवाल अब पूछना चाहती हूँ, and this is to do with setting the organizational culture and also making teams work efficiently together. A lot of friends who are business owners say that within each team, because there is a constraint in budgets, hiring budgets, you typically see that there is a senior level person who's leading the function, and then there are usually freshers or Gen Z, as it said. And there is a huge gap between how Gen Z will approach work-life balance to perhaps a senior person, how they will approach it. Do you find that this is common? Is there conflict when it comes to work-life balance, and how do you then manage that? Gauri, we'll start with you.
Yeah, definitely there is a lot of difference, and this has been across. So when we came in workforces, people who were there, they said this generation is useless. They just look at different things from life. And likewise, we are also saying the only difference is the pace of change is very, very high now. And they are not here to make money because they know there are parents, and I'm seeing cases where kids are working, children are working, and still they are funded for their car, for their houses by the parents. So for them, it doesn't matter. In the morning, they will come. You tell them something, they are not happy. By evening, they will resign because they don't care. So yes, there is a difference, and there is a lot of emphasis on work-life balance. But thanks to COVID, there is increasing awareness amongst everyone. But yes, but I would still say that when they enter the workforce, the focus should be on work. I'm not saying you got to work for 70 hours a week, but there should be focus. It should not happen that a lot of work is pending and you are leaving. And on the other side, I think the maximum change is required is in leaders. And my daughter is 15 years, so I get these conversations at home also. And I see that sometimes I used to figure out that or think that what they are behaving at workplace is childish. My daughter is behaving same at home. But later on I realized they are not childish. I have not grown up enough. I need to grow up and change with them. So both sides we need to actually
Aditi, if you can pitch in, because this is very interesting. There are different viewpoints. Or productivity pe impact hota hai. So what are tools and tricks that people sitting in the audience can actually use?
So I'll just take it forward from where Gauri left. सी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कब होता है जब वर्किंग स्टाइल में डिफरेंस आता है. लेट्स कीप द जनरेशनल गैप असाइड फॉर अ मिनट. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट तो तभी होगा ना जब मेरे को जिस तरह से काम करना है उस तरीके से माई टीम इज़ नॉट वर्किंग. एंड द प्राइमरी रीज़न फॉर दिस इज कम्युनिकेशन. We fail to communicate, and let me also remind you, communication is a two-way street. It is not always one-way street. Most of the times businesses सोचते हैं नहीं हमने पॉलिसी बना दी, हमने हमारा एक तरीका है काम करने का and हम ऐसे ही करेंगे. So adaptability becomes a little bit challenging. We also now let's bring in the generation diversity into picture. A country like India, 140 करोड़ की population है. One of the pillars of our country is secularism, which also translates into huge diversity. अब अगर diversity है, इतना बड़ा scale है, what is the one common thing that drives all of us Indian together to achieve greater things? I would say it is community, it is innovation. And the same thing if we can apply into our business by saying, okay, मेरा culture क्या है? Culture is also unique to every business. And culture is what? Nothing but a bunch of people coming together with the same set of values towards attaining the same goal. Simple. अगर ये communication हम right from executive till the entry level employees तक को बता सके और communicate कर सके, there are many ways you can communicate. You don't need to spend money all the time. As simple as having a strong operating rhythm. As simple as defining their KRA, telling them that what is expected out of them,
right,
and doing a regular checkups on where do they stand vis-a-vis the communication that was
clear
made.
Communication on setting goals and ensuring they know what are the deliverables at what kind of deadline. So that's a great input. Supriya, ये तो हो गई बात, when we've already got people in the organization, but one challenge that everybody perhaps has faced is attracting good talent for a small size business, right? How do you overcome that?
So majorly, I believe the policies play a very important role. So I'll just give you a little bit of background, when say our fathers used to work, that used to be like the industrial revolution period, when usually people would join an organization and then stick to that organization till their retirement. They wouldn't even think of shifting and hopping jobs or job shopping that we call these days, right? Then came a generation and they were not very ambitious also, in their life. They were okay with the basic needs being met. Then came the generation where, the people started working towards their standard of living. They would want to buy a big house and, so they started shifting jobs and, they've done that kind of slogging and making that living, a proper standard of living. Now this generation that we are in, they have the money. So they are not bothered about their, income to be X amount so that they can live a lavish life. They are living a lavish life. What matters to them is the work-life balance. Whether I am able to pursue my hobbies, whether I'm able to do the work that I'm passionate about, they are bothered about that. So what matters to them is what are the kind of flexibilities that I'm going to get from this organization.
I'm surprised to hear that. I'm interrupting you, but I'm surprised to hear that because the perception one has right now is that they want the money and they want the work-life balance. So, Aditi, if you want to chip in.
See, again, I would come back to my previous topic where I said conflict arise क्यों होता है. We are assuming that people want more money but less work without actually deep diving की problem है कहाँ पे. मतलब एक simple सा example देती हूँ आपको. Any industry, the hike that anybody average in an India 6% का hike होता है. राइट हमारा इन्फ्लेशन जा रहा है 8% पे. हाउ आर यू प्रोवाइडिंग अ क्वालिटी लाइफ. अब अगर सामने वाला बोलता है मैं 25,000 रुपये कमाता हूँ, आप मुझे 1 लाख रुपए दो बिकॉज आई एस्पायर फॉर अ गुड लाइफ. 6% आप इन्फ्लेशन भी बीट नहीं कर रहे हो. So it is wrong to assume that they want more money because the definition of more money is very, very vague. But eventually, at the end of the day, everybody wants a quality lifestyle
Yeah.
for themselves. Their health is priority, their family is priority, their community is priority. So how are we enabling these factors and translating into numbers?
So, Gauri, would you like to add to that? I think they've brought out some really relevant points. But उसके आगे क्या ऐसी चीजें हैं that will attract a candidate towards a SMB?
Yeah, I think this competition is with large players because everybody wants right talent, and like I said, that is the only differentiator. What I have seen, and most part of my life has been with SMBs. So I have seen that if you really want to attract talent against them, you need to create that differentiator. One is word of mouth, and where I see SMBs need to do more work in terms of their marketing things. They are not very inclined. They don't go show out those stories while there are very powerful stories in SMBs. There have been instances I have seen where किसी का accident हो गया, 1 साल तक person is paid. Such stories would not be there in large organizations, but एक वो है कि you need to market it, brand it well so that it reaches people. And we know they are not on Insta today, they have reached threads. So you got to be there where they are, connect with them. That is one thing which we can do. Second is word of mouth through your own people. Bring in more policies, like she said, policies are important. Referral policies make it more attractive. That would be another thing. And third thing, the USP with SMBs is you get to do so many things. Like I come from banking, if I look at a banker who is working with a large bank, एक ही चीज़ वो करते रहते हैं. They learn just one thing, definitely they go very deep. But today's person will have n number of careers not jobs, but rather careers in their whole spectrum of life, and they want to learn a lot of other things. So can you give them that opportunity where you do this also? Like I currently manage HR, marketing, CSR and admin as well. Because for me it's like spectrum of things that I can do, and I gather information from all the things. Marketing helps me give more or better inputs to business also. So 3 things I would say, but marketing I would say would be the most important thing which SMBs need to do to attract talent.
That's a great point. Supriya, the thing with SMBs is that हमें pivot बहुत करना पड़ता है, right? Business plans change, strategies change depending on, market conditions and how our balance sheet is doing. At a time when there is ambiguity or directional change, the guidance from the founders changes, how do you keep teams motivated? Because that is usually a time where there is confusion.
Absolutely. So communication is the key again. It's how you are, how frequent are you in touch with your teams? That matters a lot. And whether you're openly communicating all the strategies to them, especially when you are in a leap, you are taking that growth step, right? It's important for you to also involve your employees, understand their pulse, and also give them the direction, give them the guidance of where we are heading to, show them the larger picture, and show them the part, give them the clarity, the role clarity, and tell them that, okay, if you are doing this small part, this is going to be fitting into that big jigsaw puzzle. So your role is very critical. So that clarity, if you can give, the people automatically start connecting with the organization. They start feeling more important. See, each person, it's human tendency, each person wants that limelight. Each person wants to be that person who's very important for the organization. The moment you start involving them, by communicating with them at a frequent, in a proper channelized manner, it becomes very easy for them to also connect with the organization and they feel motivated. Again, rewards and recognition is another aspect. If somebody is doing a good job, don't shy away from rewarding and recognizing the person. Now, there are different ways in which you can recognize. It can be a simple thank you note, a handwritten note that you can actually give. Like in one of the organizations, we had done this beautiful initiative called as I Appreciate. Imagine she's done something really good for me, and she's helped me out in an assignment. I can just write a nice thank you note to her, which is a nice colorful thing, which is already pre-printed. I just have to write her name and I have to write the appreciation note that I'm writing for her, and I give it to her. Now, immediately she feels nice about it, that, okay, I'm being appreciated by somebody in the organization, and she puts it up in the desk. So that's the kind of culture that you need to build in in the SMBs where we start appreciating each other for the work that we do. That again is very motivating.
Yeah, Aditi, you think rewards and recognitions help, and also sort of building the organizational culture?
Uh, One thing I would like to add besides to what Supriya and Gauri has already mentioned, why don't we ask the employees for once? What do they want? Why is it that we assume that what we are doing will work for them? Again, generation is changing, diversity, multiple minds coming onto a one platform. What is the one sense of being connected with the team is that you are giving as an organization? So in my mind, whilst you are doing all the other things, add taking feedback. Receiving feedback is as much important as giving it. Again, because it's business, I know we don't want to spend money, but there are many tools available which does it free of cost. But एक बार सुनो तो सही कि आपके एम्प्लॉय क्या बोलना चाहते हैं, and then implement things, and you will see much happier organization. You will see a sense of community coming together. You will see, अरे मेरा दोस्त है, मेरी बात कोई सुन रहा है. Therefore, there is a mutual respect between the employee and the employer, and that's how you can increase the retention rate. Why would people want to leave? Again, coming
If
back.
they feel heard, why will they leave? If they feel heard and recognized, why will they leave?
Absolutely.
But Gauri, are founders or senior level management teams aware, or are they open to having such feedback from employees? Because a lot of the times they may not have to have the resources to actually convert those, I wouldn't say demands, but convert that feedback into any different action.
Yeah, definitely it depends from organization to organization, culture to culture. But I will bring up a personal story wherein a director of engineering, one of the SMBs that I worked with, he was very, very brainy, but very difficult to deal with.
Okay.
So far nobody had told him this also. So when I joined, the first assignment was that you connect with him, tell him that he needs to change, otherwise we are having people leaving the particular team. So having that conversation with him was not easy, and that's where the most important role of HR comes in. And today we call it coaching. That time we just had, we called it a conversation. But is HR actually raising it? And that's where it's very important. But yes, promoters also need to have self-awareness, and Aditi brought up a very important point. Feedback is critical. And I learned it when I started taking feedback, just to give a perspective. And 6-7 years ago, I started this process. Feedback from 30 people every year, including my family. And the first few feedback told me it was like slap on my face. Rating from 0 to 10, 0 being minimum and 10 highest. I got 3, I got 2, I got 4. But since then the process has improved. I have improved because I have understood. So this self-reflection, understanding our blind spots is critical for any business. If you don't do it, you would survive for some time, but long-term thriving would not happen.
That's
So-
certainly something important to think
Yeah.
about. Supriya, if I can come back to you, we've spoken about various mechanisms in keeping teams motivated, but how about empowering them? I think that goes hand in hand. So what are some of the tools or tricks that founders, senior management can employ in empowering their employees?
So first and foremost is trust. Trust your employees. What we usually don't do is that, we don't trust our people. That's where we start micromanaging. So the moment you're micromanaging, it's not going to help you and it's not going to take you anywhere. So it's very important for us to, have that trust in our people, give them the right vision, give them the right goals, clear it out, have frequent communication again with them, give them the right tools and technology to work. Because unless and until you give these kind of things, they're not going to feel empowered. Again, mentorship also plays a very, very crucial role while you are empowering, somebody. Have such programs for them so that they can, they have, handhold them for some time and then leave them. Watch whether they are able to, succeed in the role that they are in. Give them that clarity of role. And of course, that touch, with them on a regular, frequent basis is very, very important.
Yeah.
So micromanagement, if somebody is doing, I think they should just stop doing it, and trusting their employees is very, very crucial. That's when somebody will start feeling empowered.
Yeah, and I think also perhaps development of their career, right? If they feel that you are invested in their career growth. Aditi, is that important for new candidates?
Yes, if you show them that you are interested in their career, nothing like it. You have their heart. And because everybody wants to thrive. And if I know that there is somebody who is genuinely taking interest, and the interest could be very simple. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि मेरे को मेरी ही टीम में उसको grow करना है. I could genuinely give them saying, अच्छा आपको जो भी करना है, we are giving you the platform to grow, to acquire those skills.
So are there resources that SMBs could look at? If you could perhaps tell us about a few
Yes.
resources where we could direct employees to improve their skills.
The easiest way to do it is something we used to call internal job movements. Because that is one way of buying their trust in saying that, hey, I believe in you, and therefore now I am showcasing different aspects of my business to you. So मैं आपको ग्राउंड पे ट्रेनिंग दे रहा हूँ. आज आप अगर HR कर रहे हो, कल आप कस्टमर सपोर्ट मैनेज करके देखो, परसों आप ये करके देखो. That is one way of doing it because you are genuinely taking interest. Gone are the days when we used to say कि हमको स्पेशलिस्ट चाहिए. Coming back to the numbers, 140 करोड़ की जनता, 90 करोड़ लोगों ने वोट के लिए एप्लीकेबल हुए. That means we have 90 crore people who are eligible to work. Imagine the skill sets that they bring to the table, and if we confine them saying कि नहीं आप HR ही करोगे, आप स्पेशलाइजेशन में ही जाओगे, नहीं करना है यार, 2 साल बाद मुझे कुछ और फ्लेवर ये करना है. Every entrepreneur wears multiple hats. So this is one very good way that small and medium entrepreneurs by job rotation can motivate their teams and tell them that, hey, we care for you, we want you to grow as a holistic individual and not just somebody who can bring me billions and millions of dollars. I mean, even that works, depending. But small and medium, I think what works is buying into your ideas because you are starting up, you are disrupting the market, you are believing in a dream. That's how all the small and medium entrepreneurs are born, right? So that's, I think, in my way, one of the easiest.
Everybody would want to become a CEO some or the other day, right? That's a hidden aspiration for everybody. Nobody would deny from getting to that role. So imagine a day with the CEO and shadowing him and just him or her and just observing them for the full day. That can be a brilliant way of learning too.
Yeah, that's quite fantastic. And when we are starting a business or we're scaling up in a sense, how do you build the culture of an organization, Gauri?
Yeah, and it's very important what you said that you build it on day one. Many a times we think we will just do business right now and culture will be built later. That doesn't work. You have to start from day one because unless you have your values not only known to you but known to the whole organization and you actually follow them, you are not going to create a culture which is positive or which is what we are talking about. Ultimately, everything is about getting that talent, right? Because talent has become so scarce, and that's why we are talking about all of this. Otherwise, people would come there. So every business case that HR presents, it's all about log nahi mil rahe hain, ya retention nahi ho raha hai. So culture is that thread which is very important. It's not that you need to create a handbook, but if I observe your senior leaders, how do they behave, that is culture. And that should come from day one. In promoter-driven organization, this would definitely come from the promoters, but you have to have second layer, third layer also get involved. So one of the things that I have learned in my career is you don't have to only listen to first rung. You have to go till the last level, and I have seen when I involve them, the policies are better and its implementation is also better. So any policy, any value creation, any vision or mission statement that you are doing, bring them in and do it along with them. That's how the culture would be built.
Aditi,
in
you
the
want to add
best
to that?
manner.
Interesting take. Again, I have a slightly different opinion here, or rather, just to add up to what you said. When you're scaling up, one of the things that the founders worry the most is my culture will get diluted. And that will bring a huge gap in the motivation of the employee. So here's what I think the entrepreneurs can do. What they can do is perhaps create small communities of like-minded people within the organization and have some small cultures. For example, when I was growing my team from 80 to 800, yes, the number looks increasingly great, and wo bhi over a period of 11 years, one of the things that we thought was overall culture hamara ye hai, which are the values. बट हर एक अलग वॉक ऑफ लाइफ से लोग आ रहे थे. तो सम ऑफ देम वेयर क्विजर्स, सम ऑफ देम वेयर एथलीट्स, सम ऑफ देम वेयर फिटनेस फ्रीक. अब इन तीनों चारों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे लाके कॉमन गोल की तरफ में कैसे मोटिवेट करना है वाज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज दैट आई फेस्ड. What we did was we started making small clubs and communities within them, which were run by employees. So we had a book club where all the like-minded people who want to read books, interact, etc., they would come together. Then there was a fitness club जहाँ पे हम snippets ये करते थे. So in that way it was a lot of diversity coming together, but eventually focusing on the overarching culture, which was of I'm talking about my previous organization, which was of disruption, innovation, and becoming the pioneers of the world. So this was the overall arching culture, and what we did was alag states se log aaye, basis their common interest, we developed communities, and then we promoted those communities. That gave them I think a healthy atmosphere and a motivated atmosphere to play.
I think it's all about how meaningfully engaged a person feels in an organization.
Sure.
If I feel connected to the organization and if I genuinely feel that the company is taking efforts for me, I would not want to leave the job. Like she said, she talked about the communities, that they had built in her organization. It just is so motivating. If I am a sports enthusiast, I have a sports club there, and it's the biggest advantage is that it's run by employees. So even we used to do a similar concept. In fact, we had brought in the house concept, where back in school, we had those red, blue, green, yellow houses. So we had actually brought in that concept within our organization, divided all the people within those houses, and we used to have certain competitions which were running through these houses, but by the people. So people used to run competitions, and it was all employee driven. The moment it is management driven, right, it's like, oh, why do I do this? क्यों करना है यार? क्या ये HR हर Friday को आ जाता है और बोलता है चलो कुछ ना कुछ करते हैं, रंगोली बनाते हैं यार. The moment it is driven by employees, it's taken in a it's perceived as a very different thing, Yeah, because it's done by us, no?
Wonderful. So I think I just have one final question for you all, and this is a heads up to the audience that we'll take a couple of questions from the house as well. So हमने अभी तक motivation की बात करी, hiring की बात करी, but how do you deal with an employee who is not performing well? Gauri.
That's a difficult one because you need to evaluate. You need to deep dive and see why a certain employee is not performing. It may be about them, it may be about job, it may be about resources not being available, it may be about boss also. So what I have seen, the best kind of performance that you can get from people when you follow the mantra of जिसकी मस्ती जिंदा है उसकी हस्ती जिंदा है वरना वो जबरदस्ती जिंदा है. So when we support people, so when we can help them have that masti, अगर वो जिंदा रहती है और वो कैसे रहेगी when you respect them and when you really encourage them or help them do what they are required to do. If we look at job description, वहीं से सारा किस्सा खत्म हो जाता है. कुछ और करने बोला है, कुछ और करने को दिया है. All those negative experiences lead to such a build-up कि performance नहीं हो पाती है. But at some time we need to also see if person is not thriving at that place, maybe the place is not good for them. So evaluate every aspect of it, and that's where data also helps. The smart KRAs help, and also the day-to-day interaction help.
Fantastic, Supriya.
I think there are many factors because of which a person may be not performing. There may be personal issues as well, which may, disrupt somebody's performance. So it's as HRs or as employers, it's very important to understand that aspect. in my career, I would have let go so many people, but at the end of the day, what we need to think about is that we shouldn't be disrupting somebody's self-esteem. So even if the person is not the right fit for your company and you have to let go someone, it's very important for you to tell the person that, hey, you know what, this particular role may not be the right thing for you. You need to explore something else because this is what your strengths are. And explore that, maybe this thing would work for you in another organization, and give that kind of a genuine support to that person while the person is on notice or probably a performance improvement plan, and through that period guide the person so that he or she feels that, okay, I'm not alone in this journey.
Yeah.
So at the moment you do that, you're reaching, as an employer, you're reaching to another level. People start perceiving you in a
empathy,
very, very different.
Essentially, show empathy. So I think, Aditi, final word to you. How long would you wait before deciding that this employee is not working well and it's time to let them go?
This is a very, very wide question, and to answer it in times up, right, written on my screen is extremely difficult, but I'll try my level best. Like Supriya mentioned, there are n number of reasons why an employee gets disengaged, and therefore the performance dips. As a business, I would take a step back and think, what are the things which is in my control, and what are the things which are not in my control. So for an example, an employee getting disengaged might not be in my control, could be primarily because uske family mein kuch hoga, usko relocate karna hoga, koi alag pressure hoga. What is in my control as a business is the employee experience. हाथ खड़े करिए, इंस्टाग्राम पे कौन कौन रील देखता है और बोलता है जब एचआर का मजाक उड़ता है, एचआर बिफोर ज्वाइनिंग, आफ्टर ज्वाइनिंग, ड्यूरिंग नोटिस पीरियड, आफ्टर नोटिस पीरियड. I'm sure we all have laughed at it at some point in time.
Yeah.
So my question, my solution here would be, why can't we have that one consistent experience to the employees right at the time when they were a candidate? So hire to retire, हम एक ही experience क्यों नहीं दे सकते हैं? वो तो मेरे control में है. That is in my control. And if that is in my control, and I know I'm doing it 100% as a business, उसके बाद अगर कोई एम्प्लॉय बोलता है सॉरी थिंग्स आर नॉट वर्किंग आउट, और या मुझे लगता है दैट देयर इज अ मिसमैच, आई थिंक अगेन एज अ बिजनेस आई शुड गिव देम one opportunity to understand so that we don't burn the bridge when we depart. I would say acha theek hai, and also be a little respectful, and like Supriya mentioned, be a little empathetic towards the reasons why they are quitting, and respect them. Okay, fine, yahan nahi chala, koi baat nahi. It's a very understated thing, but sometimes employees either outgrow the place because they have acquired skills and they want to explore bigger platform. Koi baat nahi, you be thankful that you gave them the platform from where they bounced back. And I would like to bring this up. Angad Ranyal, for an example, I think is the next person. Angad and I, we worked together in one of the organization before Angad became what he is today.
Right.
So it was like, because he wanted to pursue his career in a very different zone, does not mean that he didn't work out with us. Ambition mismatch tha. Why don't we understand that and support the employee that, okay, you go on your journey, we are right behind your back. Hey, we had a great time together.
Understood.
In case in future, if you look back, I will always be there. If you give that kind of support to the employee, that experience again, because abhi wo ex-employee hai, aayega nahi aayega, go back. 90 crore ki
I think that's very, very well articulated. We'll quickly take two questions. Sorry to cut you short. Do sawal lena chahenge right in the front, please. Yeah, I'll come to you next, ma'am.
Hello everyone, Taha Pipawala here. So as we have already known initially कि भाई HR को hire करना, pocket से paying something. So are there any ways in which any company can hire HRs, like कभी offline या online जाके, whatever your suggestions would be in this case?
So it's a hiring question. I think you can start. Yeah.
So there are a lot of HR outsourcing companies also these days. So like my company is one of them. So what we do is, where there are no HRs, right, we go and we set up the entire HR processes. So it can be a smaller assignment, okay, where we go and we completely take a look at your current practices, current policies, and then we set up the right processes and right policies. A lot of times even we'll have to take care of the statutory part, because that's also something which is very important, and most of the companies, they don't follow the statutory compliances also, you know. So option is that you can basically outsource your HRs also these days.
Okay, we'll take the next question, please.
Like to get in touch
the
with
lady in the black sari there. Ma'am, if you could please stand up.
Hi. I also come from HR and learning and development background. So I have a specific question because as we correctly mentioned, HR has a lot of jobs to do, which starts with teaching as well. So a lot of SMEs call trainers from outside to give training to their employees. And they ask us to do the evaluation and understand what is the other segments which has to be addressed. And we do that also. But majority of time what happens is after the evaluation is done, we give them the list of training, or we give them like what is important for the employees. It always goes under the shelf. So here we say that we work for the employees, but majority of time that is not evidently visible, because after that when we speak with the employees who are working with the company, they say that the training was done, that's it. It was like a day out for them and that's it. So how can we make sure that it is not actually getting dusted away and it is coming into practice, that we are actually giving them these trainings so that they can implement these programs in their work, and it is showing some kind of effect. So what can we do that?
Gauri, would you like to take that?
Very important question, because it regularly happens. And there was a time when KRA was number of days that you did. Now hardly any organization which is evolved has a KRA where number of days of training are important. So now it is about tangibles, what you can show in terms of productivity hike. So the proposals that we evaluate, we see, अच्छा ये करोगे तो इतने percentage से आपकी sale बढ़ जाएगी. Can you bring up such a proposal? If you bring up such a proposal, nobody is going to put it anywhere else but going to take it up and bring you in with all the fanfare and welcome. So that is what I would say. Bring in data, bring it tangibles, because अभी तक training ऐसी ही हो रही थी. ये कर लिया, खाना बहुत अच्छा था, फीडबैक बहुत अच्छा था, मज़ा आ गया, टीम बिल्डिंग हो गई. Not anymore, and it is to be driven by people. Now what actually I want to learn, it's not that एक हमने open program कर दिया और everybody will join that program. What I know somebody else may not know, and somebody else may know, so they don't want to sit for that. So go for tangibles, bring in data and check out, go deep dive and check with people at the last level. Ask for those meetings. Many good organizations will provide you, and if at one place it is not working, then we know we are 1.4 billion people. So there are so many more businesses.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Add to this, if I can, what you also can do is, you know, what is in it for me, you know, is the thought behind every person. चलो training तो मैंने कर लिया, तो training के बाद क्या? What am I going to get in return? Training, you have given me, okay, वो तो आपको काम में आएगा, but मेरे लिए क्या है? So if you can showcase that path to them, that upskilling is a path to, you know, the next level.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this is the growth that you're going to be seeing in the organization if you are, you know, pursuing these skills. That's when a person will genuinely show interest. You know, आप एक training program में बिठा दोगे, it's like a off-site for them and it's an enjoyment party, picnic for them, you know. But unless and until you put in the factors that, okay, now this training is important because you're going to be playing this role and this is what we see for you, this is the potential. That's again the communication that you need to do with the employee.
And that's a great input, and I'm really sorry, I know there are hands going up in the audience, but we have to wrap it up here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Aditi, Supriya and Gauri. I think we've got some very, very meaningful insights, actionable things that we can think about. I'd like to invite from the Borzo team, Rahul and Mona, to please join us on stage as we present our guests with a memento. Thank you for your time, ladies. I'm sure we've all learned a lot from you today.